Have you ever felt trapped in a life that didn't seem like your own? Have you ever looked in the mirror and asked yourself, how did I get here? Or felt as if something inside you was screaming for change, but you didn't know where to start? These questions haunted Jessica Brown every morning as she woke to yet another day that felt just like all the others. Jessica was 34 years old, lived in Boston, and worked in an office where she dealt daily with endless reports, suffocating deadlines, and meetings that never seemed to lead anywhere. On the outside, her life seemed stable. A steady job, an apartment in a decent neighborhood, a few friends she occasionally went out with. But inside, what she carried was a growing emptiness, as if she were watching her own existence pass before her eyes without ever truly living it. She often wondered when she had lost the sparkle in her eyes, the enthusiasm she had when she was younger, dreaming of traveling the world, writing a book, and living a passionate life. Yet the years passed, responsibilities grew, and her dreams seemed increasingly distant. People around Jessica believed she was fine. They smiled at her in the office hallways, asked quick questions about the weekend, and went about their own routines. But no one knew what her nights were like. No one saw the silent tears she shed as she lay in bed, feeling the weight of a life that didn't feel like hers. One of those nights, something unexpected happened. Exhausted, Jessica grabbed an old notebook she had kept on a shelf, its pages yellowed with time. She didn't know exactly what she would write, she only felt the need to release what was suffocating her heart. She picked up a simple pen and on the first blank page wrote, "Dear Jessica, this is a letter to yourself." And from that moment, without realizing it, she began the greatest transformation of her life. The words began to flow uncontrollably. Jessica wrote about her pain, her frustrations, but also about her deepest desires. She wrote about the life she wanted to live, the trips she still dreamed of taking, the true love she wished to experience, the courage she wanted to rediscover within herself. Each sentence gave voice to a part of herself that had been forgotten. The more she wrote, the more she realized this wasn't just a venting exercise, it was a manifesto. When she finished, she read it aloud. Her hands trembled, her breath was rapid, and tears ran down her face. But for the first time in a long while, those tears were not only of pain. There was a mixture of relief and hope in them. Jessica realized she had described a version of herself that didn't exist yet, but seemed possible. That letter was like a mirror of a future identity, a portrait of who she could become. That night, Jessica didn't put the notebook away. She folded the letter and placed it under her pillow before sleeping. And something curious happened. She slept with a different kind of peace, as if she had finally released a burden she had carried for years. In the following days, Jessica returned to that letter again and again. She read and reread each passage, and the more she did, the more she felt it was not just simple writing. It was a commitment to herself. It was a promise that she would not continue living just for the sake of living. Gradually, she noticed she was beginning to see the world differently. Before, she woke up already tired, expecting the worst of the day. Now, even though her routine remained the same, reading her letter in the morning changed her energy. Jessica began noticing small details she had once ignored. Sunlight streaming through her bedroom window, a stranger's smile on the subway, an inspiring phrase in a shop window. It was as if the universe had started sending signs. At the same time, doubts arose. Could a simple letter truly transform her life? Was it just a momentary illusion, a trick of the mind to soothe her pain? These questions pursued her, but they also pushed her to seek answers. Jessica began researching more. During sleepless nights, she immersed herself in videos, articles, and books about personal development. One night, she came across stories of people who had experienced exactly what she was living, the transformation of reality through the power of thoughts and emotions. She discovered testimonies from people who claimed to have attracted prosperity, love, health, and new opportunities simply by changing the way they thought. It seemed almost unbelievable, but it made sense to her. Suddenly, Jessica realized that the letter had been, without her knowing it, the first exercise of what so many people called the law of attraction. It was not just a letter. It was a declaration of intentions, a call to the universe, a seed planted in the fertile soil of faith and hope. This discovery deeply moved her. If so many people claim to have achieved extraordinary results by aligning their thoughts with their desires, why couldn't she? After all, everything she had written in the letter was sincere, stemming from a real, deep desire. Could it, in some way, materialize in her life? From that moment, Jessica began asking herself new questions. What if I really could create the life I've always dreamed of? What if the simple act of writing my desires was the start of a new reality? What if the change I've been waiting for began the moment I decided to believe? These questions echoed in her mind, bringing a new energy, as if the future were beginning to unfold before her eyes. Despite this, her external life had not yet changed. Jessica still went to the office, still dealt with the same deadlines and problems, still faced overdue bills that kept arriving. However, something fundamental was already different. She had planted the seed of hope within herself, and that made all the difference. Jessica decided that the letter would not remain just a memory of a night of venting. She posted it on the wall right next to her bed, where she could see it every day. She established a new ritual. Every morning and every night before sleeping, she read every word aloud. She didn't just read it, she felt it, as if it were already real, as if she were living the life she had described. This small act began transforming her energy. The more she repeated it, the more she believed. The more she believed, the more a confidence she had never experienced grew inside her. Imagining the life she desired made her heart beat faster, and the emptiness that once consumed her began to make room for something new, a quiet but powerful excitement. Jessica still didn't fully understand what was happening, but without realizing it, she was tuning her mind to a new frequency. She was discovering practically and intuitively that whatever one focuses on expands. At this point, a certainty began to grow inside her. Her life would never be the same after that letter. And what came next would show that the universe was ready to respond in ways Jessica could never have imagined.
After that letter, something inside Jessica Brown had changed. It was as if, for the first time in many years, she had ignited a small flame in the darkness. But doubt lingered. Was it real, or just a psychological trick to feel better for a few days? These questions became part of her mental routine, intertwined with the hope quietly growing in her heart. Jessica continued her seemingly ordinary life. The alarm clock rang early, bitter black coffee accompanied her every morning, and the crowded subway remained an inevitable part of her routine. At the office, nothing had changed. Piles of reports, long and unproductive meetings, colleagues pretending to always be busy. But inside her, things were no longer the same. The weight she carried felt less suffocating. Something new was being born, and she could not ignore it. One morning, on her way to work, she noticed a poster on the subway wall. It read, "You create the life you believe in." Jessica froze for a few seconds, staring at the words. It was as if the universe had spoken directly to her. She immediately remembered the letter and the sentences she had written with so much emotion. A shiver ran down her spine. That night, at home, she researched the phrase. It didn't take long before she came across articles, videos, and even books about something called the law of attraction. She had never heard the term before, but with every page she read and every testimony she watched, she felt she was discovering a truth that had always been there, hidden right in front of her. According to the law of attraction, our thoughts and emotions work like magnets. What we focus on, what we feel intensely, inevitably manifests in our reality. This was exactly what had happened when she wrote her letter. Jessica didn't know it, but she was creating a mental image so strong that her mind and heart began to believe in the possibility of a new life. She immersed herself in this universe. She bought recommended books, listened to lectures during the mornings while getting ready for work, and watched inspirational videos before sleeping. She discovered stories of people who had transformed their lives by aligning their thoughts with their desires. People who landed dream jobs, found unexpected love, overcame illnesses, and achieved prosperity. Each story felt like a mirror of what she herself sought. Gradually, Jessica began to believe that if it had worked for so many people, it could work for her too. But at the same time, a challenge arose: how to truly believe when reality seemed to say otherwise. How to believe in prosperity when bills were overdue. How to believe in love when her love life seemed stagnant. How to believe in happiness when emptiness still lingered. These questions haunted her, but she decided she wouldn't give up. Jessica remembered the feeling of writing the letter, the peace, the hope, the strength that emerged in that moment. She decided that if it had worked once, it could work again. She began writing daily, not just a letter, but pages and pages describing the life she wanted to live. She wrote as if it were already real, not as a distant dream. At first, she felt silly. She wrote sentences like, "I am a confident, fulfilled, and happy woman. I travel the world, share my experiences, write and inspire others." Part of her laughed inwardly, thinking, none of this is true now. But another part felt an indescribable energy as she put those words on paper. And that feeling motivated her to continue. Over time, Jessica noticed something curious. Her emotions began to shift. When she wrote, she felt excited, as if she were truly experiencing a future version of her life. This emotional state, according to the book she was reading, was the key to the law of attraction. Thinking alone was not enough. It was necessary to feel. So Jessica decided to take it beyond the paper. She began visualizing mentally the scene she had described. Before sleeping, she would close her eyes and imagine herself on a plane, looking out the window at the clouds, heading to a new destination. Her heart would race as if she were really experiencing the moment. Other times, she imagined herself in a bookstore, holding her published book, people smiling around her, asking for autographs. These images were so vivid that for brief moments, her mind couldn't distinguish whether they were real. At that point, Jessica realized the power she held in her hands. She didn't need to wait for the external world to change to start feeling differently. She could change from the inside out. The transformation, however, was not linear. There were days when Jessica felt discouraged, days when she cried alone in her room again, days when she doubted everything. But in those moments, she remembered the original letter. That letter had become a landmark, a reminder that she had within her the ability to start over whenever she needed. Then a curious coincidence occurred, or as she later called it, a synchronicity. One day, while browsing online, she found an ad for a workshop on the law of attraction happening in Boston the following week. Normally, Jessica would have ignored it, thinking she was too busy, too tired, or that it didn't make sense to spend money on something so abstract. But this time, something inside her said, "Go." The workshop took place in a small auditorium with just over 50 people. Jessica felt butterflies as she entered. She didn't know anyone, but looking around, she realized that everyone there was there for the same reason. They believed, or wanted to believe, that it was possible to change life through the mind. The speaker, a charismatic man named Mark, began talking about his personal experiences and how he had used the law of attraction to transform his own reality. Jessica listened carefully to every word, her heart racing. He spoke about gratitude, visualization, feeling as if she already had what she desired. Most importantly, he spoke about the power of beliefs. Believing is the key to opening any door. That day, Jessica left the workshop with renewed conviction. She realized she was not alone. There was a community worldwide who believed in the same power she was discovering, and that strengthened her. In the following weeks, she intensified her practice. In addition to writing and visualizing, she began practicing gratitude. Every night before bed, she wrote down 3 things she was grateful for. Sometimes they were simple, like the taste of a hot coffee or a brief conversation at work. Other times, they were deeper feelings, like gratitude for the courage not to give up on herself. Gradually, the first signs began to appear. An unexpected email offering the opportunity to enter a writing contest. A colleague randomly complimenting her dedication. An invitation from a distant friend for a short weekend trip. Small things, but for Jessica, they were signs that the universe was responding. These signs reinforced her faith. Each small coincidence was celebrated as a victory, and with every victory, her belief strengthened. Jessica understood that she was only at the beginning of a journey, but she could already feel that something great was on its way. The letter she had written to herself had been just the starting point. Now she faced a new horizon, discovering that life didn't have to be a repetition of pain and frustration. It could be a conscious creation, built step by step, thought by thought, emotion by emotion. And that is how Jessica took her first real steps on the journey of the law of attraction. What she didn't know was that very soon, this practice would stop being just an internal exercise and would begin to manifest powerfully in the external world, changing her life in ways she could never have imagined.
After weeks of practicing reading her letter, daily writing, and visualization, Jessica Brown began to notice subtle changes, almost imperceptible at first, but gradually becoming impossible to ignore. She had read and watched so many stories about people who had transformed their lives through the law of attraction that, secretly, she was expecting something extraordinary. But she didn't know exactly how or when it would happen. At this point, a mix of anxiety and anticipation had become her constant companion. It all began with small signs that could easily have been attributed to coincidence, but for Jessica, they were no longer mere accidents of fate. One day, while checking her work emails, she found an unexpected message. It was an opportunity to write for a literary blog looking for new authors to publish short stories. Jessica had never submitted anything and had never considered that she might be chosen. But somehow, that message appeared precisely when she was reflecting on her dream of writing and being recognized. She felt a shiver run down her spine and, for the first time, had the sensation that the universe was responding directly to what she had manifested in her letter. At first, she tried to rationalize. Maybe it's just luck or some algorithm accidentally selected me. But the thought brought no comfort. Every detail seemed perfectly synchronized. She had just spent the previous night visualizing herself publishing her own story, and that same day, she received the unexpected invitation. A thrill of excitement mixed with disbelief overcame her, and something began to shift deeply within her. In the following days, Jessica began to notice other small coincidences that she would have previously overlooked. An old friend she hadn't seen in years suddenly reached out, as if sensing she needed support. A colleague at work who rarely spoke to her offered help with a complicated project without her asking. A book she had been searching for months appeared in the local bookstore, on sale, as if it had been placed there just for her. Each event seemed to say, "Yes, you are on the right path. Keep going." Still, doubt persisted. Jessica couldn't help but wonder if it was all just coincidences. But there was something different now. The sense that she was in control of her own life, that her thoughts and intentions were influencing what happened around her. This awareness began to generate an ever-growing curiosity, a desire to experiment consciously, to test whether the law of attraction truly worked. Determined to deepen her practice, Jessica created a more structured daily routine. Every morning, in addition to reading her letter, she visualized detailed scenes of the life she wanted to create, walking through the streets of cities she dreamed of visiting, smiling while giving writing lectures, holding her published book and receiving messages from grateful readers. She tried to feel every detail as if she were truly living those experiences. At night, she wrote about her day, noting any signs or coincidences she noticed. Soon after, her first major test arose. A client at work who had always ignored her during meetings suddenly needed help with an urgent project. Jessica, without hesitation, volunteered to take responsibility and, surprisingly, managed to resolve the issue quickly. Recognition came immediately, not only praise from the client, but also acknowledgement from her manager, who publicly mentioned her effort in a meeting. For Jessica, this was more than a professional achievement. It was concrete proof that her focus, dedication, and positive mindset were opening doors that had previously seemed insurmountable. Around the same time, another situation reinforced her belief. Jessica was saving for a trip she had always dreamed of taking, but the month's bills had left her budget tight. She felt discouraged, thinking she might have to postpone her plans. The next morning, when checking the mail, she found an unexpected refund from an old insurance policy, an amount sufficient to cover a significant part of the trip. Again, it seemed like a coincidence, but for Jessica, it was impossible to ignore. Everything was happening according to her thoughts, intentions, and expectations. As the signs multiplied, Jessica began to realize something essential. The change was not only in external events, but also in how she felt internally. With each achievement, each small manifestation, she felt more confident, more secure, and more aligned with her desires. Gratitude, which had previously been an almost mechanical exercise, became a genuine emotion capable of completely transforming her mental state. She began to understand that the law of attraction did not function merely as an ask and receive mechanism, but as a tool for inner transformation. Even with these advances, challenges continued. There were days when doubt returned forcefully. When an important work project faced unexpected obstacles, Jessica was tempted to think, maybe I'm not capable, maybe this doesn't really work. But instead of giving in to fear, she turns to her letter and visualization practices, remembering every small victory she had already achieved. This constant practice of returning to focus and intention strengthened her emotional resilience, allowing her to keep moving forward even in the face of difficulties. Jessica also began to notice how her personal relationships were changing. Friends and family observed a difference in her. She was more open, confident, and joyful. This attracted new people into her life, people with similar mindsets, sharing interests and values. It was as if the energy she radiated was creating a frequency that drew situations and individuals aligned with her vision of the world. In one of these reflective moments, Jessica realized that small daily actions, which had previously seemed irrelevant, had become powerful catalysts for change. Making conscious decisions, maintaining positive thoughts, expressing gratitude, and visualizing goals in detail were no longer just rituals, but tools shaping her reality. Every choice, every emotion, every focus of attention contributed to a reality more aligned with her desires. A striking example occurred when Jessica decided to write a new short story inspired by a personal experience she had always avoided exploring. She didn't expect anything to happen, but decided to share the story online. To her surprise, the piece caught the attention of a literary magazine editor who contacted her requesting publication. The coincidence seemed extraordinary, and the feeling of being guided by something greater overcame her. At that moment, Jessica realized it wasn't luck, it wasn't mere chance. It was the direct result of her internal alignment with what she wanted to manifest. Another sign occurred while walking through a park, when Jessica ran into an old schoolmate she hadn't seen in years. The conversation flowed naturally, full of memories and laughter, and unexpectedly, this friend became a partner in a creative project Jessica had been envisioning for months. Once again, it seemed as if the universe had placed the right person in the right place at the right time. These repeated experiences strengthened Jessica's conviction.
She realized that the law of attraction was not just an abstract theory, but a principle that could be applied practically every day. Every positive thought, every detailed visualization, and every act of gratitude had a direct impact on her life. The change, however, was not limited to the external world. The most transformative aspect was witnessing her internal evolution, the growing confidence and sense of control over her own destiny. Each day, Jessica became more aware of her personal power. She noticed that her focus determined not only results, but also the quality of her daily experiences. Problems that once paralyzed her were now approached with creativity and calm. Obstacles became challenges to overcome, and the sense of helplessness gave way to the confidence that she could attract solutions, opportunities, and people aligned with her goals. At the end of each day, when reviewing her letter and writing in her journal, Jessica felt profound gratitude. Life was transforming before her in ways she could never have predicted, reinforcing the certainty that she was on the right path. Every small sign, every significant coincidence, every unexpected opportunity was a confirmation that the law of attraction worked and that she, Jessica Brown, had the power to create the life she had always dreamed of. And so, with small miracles, meaningful coincidences, and inner discoveries, Jessica took her first concrete steps toward a reality that had once seemed impossible. The letter she had written, the visualization rituals, the practice of gratitude, and her unwavering faith began to transform her life into something extraordinary, proving that the power of creation had been within her all along, simply waiting to be awakened.
Despite all the small manifestations Jessica had begun to notice, life continued to present challenges that tested her faith and determination. Not everything unfolded as she expected, and each obstacle became a new test of her confidence in the law of attraction. She knew from experience that it was not just about writing letters or visualizing dreams. The practice required consistency, patience, and, above all, believing even when everything seemed to conspire against her. It all started with an unexpected problem at work. An important project Jessica was leading underwent sudden and uncontrollable changes. Clients altered their requirements, colleagues became less cooperative, and suddenly what seemed under control was surrounded by chaos. For the first time, Jessica felt fear invade her mind intensely. Doubts arose. Am I overthinking this? Maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I'm not capable of manifesting what I desire. Skepticism, which had once seemed distant, now settled in as an insistent visitor. The external pressure would shake any ordinary person. But Jessica had something more. The experience of the past months had taught her not to give up easily. She took a deep breath, sat in her room at the end of the day, and opened her letter again. She reread every sentence, feeling, not just reading, the hope and strength she had placed there. When she finished, she closed her eyes and allowed herself to feel. She visualized the project's success, imagined every detail resolved harmoniously, and connected with the emotion of overcoming that challenge. Still, the following days were tense. Every unexpected call, every urgent email seemed to provoke anxiety. Jessica had to fight the urge to succumb to frustration and doubt. But she realized something important. It wasn't about denying problems, but about choosing where to place her focus. Life presented challenges, yes, but her energy could determine how to respond to them. And instead of feeling like a victim of circumstances, Jessica began to position herself as a creator of solutions. During this period, she also faced a financial challenge that left her anxious. An unexpected expense threatened her plan for her dream trip. For a moment, she felt paralyzed. Is everything I've been doing just an illusion? She thought. But instead of panicking, Jessica applied what she had been learning. She maintained her focus on the desired outcome, imagining the necessary amount appearing unexpectedly, without anxiety but with confidence. And the universe responded. A few days later, she received a late payment from an old client, enough to cover the expense. For Jessica, it was not luck. It was confirmation that her intentions, aligned with feelings of trust and gratitude, were beginning to produce tangible results. This experience reinforced the idea that the law of attraction did not work like instant magic, but as a cooperative process between her mind, her emotions, and the universe. Amid these challenges, Jessica noticed another important transformation. Her relationship with fear had changed. Previously, fear paralyzed her, causing her to retreat and give up before even trying. Now, fear became an indicator of where her growth opportunities lay. Each time she felt anxiety, doubt, or insecurity, she knew that was precisely the point where she could exercise her power of choice, align with what she desired, and keep moving forward. It was in this context that an unexpected opportunity for personal growth arose. A friend suggested that Jessica attend a networking event for writers and creative professionals. At first, she hesitated, feeling insecure about being among so many experienced and confident people. But she remembered the letter, the visualizations, and her recent experiences. She took a deep breath and decided to accept the invitation. The event proved to be a turning point. Jessica met people who shared similar dreams, some already with established careers and inspiring stories of overcoming challenges. The exchange of experiences, the collective enthusiasm, and the sense of belonging to a community that believed in the same power she was discovering significantly boosted her confidence. For the first time, she felt that her life was no longer limited to the office environment or a predictable routine. There was a world of possibilities waiting for her. But the challenges were not over. Shortly afterward, Jessica faced a delicate situation in her relationship with a close friend. An old disagreement resurfaced, causing tension and insecurity. She realized that to continue attracting what she desired, she needed to handle the situation consciously. Instead of reacting impulsively, she applied the principles of the law of attraction. She focused on understanding, visualized harmony and reconciliation, and worked on her own emotional energy before approaching her friend. To her surprise, the situation resolved naturally, through an honest conversation that strengthened their bond even more. Jessica began to notice a pattern. It wasn't just about receiving something externally, but about transforming internally the way she handled challenges and interactions. Every obstacle was an opportunity for growth, every conflict a chance to align her emotions with her deepest desires. This awareness was fundamental for consolidating her faith in the law of attraction more solidly. Another remarkable moment occurred when a literary editor she admired responded to an email she had sent weeks earlier. He expressed interest in her work and suggested a partnership on a short story project. For Jessica, this was not just a professional opportunity. It was concrete proof that her intentions and efforts were producing real results. The sense of accomplishment and confirmation that she could create her own reality strengthened her self-confidence and increased her enthusiasm to continue applying the law of attraction in all aspects of her life. Jessica also realized that the constant practice of gratitude, visualization, and conscious intention began to reflect in her mental and emotional health. She felt less anxious, more focused, and more open to possibilities. Even situations that would have previously caused frustration were now approached with curiosity and positive expectation. Every experience became a lesson, and every small manifestation of the universe reinforced that she was on the right path. And at this point, something even deeper began to happen. Jessica noticed that her own energy was affecting the people around her. Colleagues began noticing her growing confidence. Friends commented on her more positive and inspiring attitude, and even strangers reacted more friendly in everyday interactions. It was as if her internal change was creating waves, attracting experiences and people that reflected her new state of mind. Despite all the positive signs, Jessica knew she needed to maintain discipline and consistency. The law of attraction did not work in isolation. Every thought, every feeling, every visualization was an investment in the future she was creating. And the more conscious and consistent she was, the more power she had to transform her reality in a deep and lasting way.
At the end of each day, she reviewed her letter and journal, reflecting on experiences, challenges overcome, and opportunities manifested. This constant practice reinforced her faith and consolidated her perception that the universe always responded when she aligned with her desires and intentions. Part 4 of Jessica Brown's journey marks, therefore, a crucial period: the transition between the first subtle signs of the law of attraction and the awareness that her own life could be consciously shaped. Through challenges, doubts, and small victories, she begins to understand that transformation does not occur only in the external world, but in how she chooses to think, feel, and act. Every obstacle overcome, every sign received, is a confirmation that change is possible and that she has the power to create a fulfilling life aligned with her dreams and deepest desires. And at the end of this phase, Jessica finds herself more confident, more self-aware, and more connected with the power within her, a force capable of transforming thoughts and intentions into concrete reality, paving the way for even greater manifestations yet to come in the next parts of her journey.
After weeks of consistent practice, daily writing, detailed visualizations, and gratitude exercises, Jessica Brown began to notice that the law of attraction was not only working, but manifesting in increasingly significant ways in her life. What had once been subtle signs, small coincidences, now transformed into real, tangible, and exciting achievements. The first major milestone occurred in her professional life. Jessica had sent some writings to editors and literary blogs, always hopeful but without high expectations. To her surprise, one of the leading short story blogs contacted her, offering not only to publish her work, but also the opportunity to write a paid monthly column with full creative freedom. Jessica felt her heart race, a powerful mix of gratitude, joy, and disbelief. She looked at her letter and journal, realizing that all those practices had truly shifted her energy and that her intention was now reflected in the external world. Shortly after, an unexpected financial opportunity arose. Jessica had been saving for a dream trip, but with her new work came an unexpected bonus, a prize from a local literary contest she had discreetly entered. The amount was enough to cover not only the trip, but also some extra expenses she had been planning for months. The sense of accomplishment and tangible manifestation made her realize that the law of attraction worked best when she remained consistent in her practices, focusing on what she wanted and feeling as if she were already living it. These results began to extend into her personal life. An old friendship that had lain dormant for years naturally resurfaced. Jessica reunited with her friend, and together they began developing a creative project, a series of collaborative short stories exploring themes of overcoming, transformation, and self-discovery. The partnership not only brought inspiration and motivation, but also reinforced the idea that the energy she radiated attracted people aligned with her values and dreams. The effect of the law of attraction began to show in small but meaningful daily coincidences. A rare book she had been searching for months appeared at a local bookstore with an unexpected discount. A professional contact she had lost touch with years ago reached out, offering an unlikely collaboration opportunity. Each event felt like a silent confirmation that the universe was responding to her intentions. However, Jessica realized that the true transformation was not only in external achievements, but in the internal change she was experiencing. She felt more confident, centered, and connected with her desires and emotions. Fear and doubt still arose, but they no longer held the same paralyzing power over her. Every challenge became an opportunity to strengthen her faith, apply the principles she learned daily, and deepen her connection with her own creative energy. One Saturday afternoon, while reviewing her journal and reflecting on her journey, Jessica realized something profound. Her visualizations were not just imaginative exercises, but mental training shaping her perceptions, choices, and behaviors. Every scenario she created in her mind, every emotion she felt while visualizing her achievements, was preparing the ground for those realities to manifest in the physical world. This understanding brought a sense of personal power she had never experienced before.
One of the most exciting moments came when Jessica finally traveled to her dream destination, a city she had always imagined visiting but had seemed financially out of reach. On the plane, looking out the window, she felt a wave of gratitude wash over her entire body. She remembered every letter written, every visualization, every moment she chose to believe, even in the face of doubts and challenges. It was confirmation that her practices and intentions had materialized tangibly, turning her dreams into reality. During the trip, new opportunities arose in surprising ways. Jessica met inspiring people, made valuable professional contacts, and had experiences that opened new creative pathways. Every interaction seemed carefully synchronized, as if the universe were guiding her steps toward the places and encounters she needed to experience. The sense of flow and synchronicity became constant, reinforcing her confidence in the law of attraction and her ability to create her own reality. Back in her daily routine, Jessica applied the same principle to other areas of her life. She began visualizing her literary career advancing, her finances stabilizing, and her social circle expanding with positive and inspiring people. With consistent practice, results began to appear. Invitations to events, professional collaborations, new creative projects, and even opportunities to speak about writing. Each achievement was celebrated, not just for the result itself, but for the feeling of being aligned with her energy and intentions. Jessica also noticed profound internal changes. Her self-esteem increased, her perception of the world became more positive, and her ability to handle challenges improved significantly. She learned to recognize limiting thought patterns and replace them with empowering beliefs. Each day became an opportunity to reinforce her faith, align her energy, and create experiences reflecting her deepest desires. The power of the law of attraction also manifested in seemingly trivial but emotionally significant situations. An unexpected coffee with an old colleague, an inspiring conversation with a stranger in the park, even small, timely acts of help. Each event reinforced the awareness that when one is in tune with their desires and emotions, the universe responds in surprising and precise ways. Reflecting on all this, Jessica understood that the law of attraction was not just about obtaining external things, but about transforming one's life, self-perception, and relationship with the world. Gratitude became a constant practice, not just for external achievements, but for every lesson, experience, and opportunity for growth. She realized that the true magic lay in staying aligned with her desires and emotions, regardless of external circumstances. A remarkable example of this alignment occurred when Jessica sent a manuscript she had written months earlier to a prestigious publisher. She had no expectations, only a clear intention to share her work and the feeling that she had already achieved it. To her surprise, the publisher responded with immediate interest, offering to publish her book and a contract exceeding her initial expectations. The feeling of accomplishment and excitement swept over her, confirming once again that her consistent practice of the law of attraction was producing tangible, transformative results. Jessica began to notice that her life was transforming holistically. What had once been a cycle of frustration and waiting now became a series of positive experiences, unexpected opportunities, and meaningful lessons. Daily practice, detailed visualization, gratitude, and emotional connection with her desires solidified as powerful tools to shape her reality. Every achievement, significant coincidence, and emerging opportunity confirmed she was on the right path. As results accumulated, Jessica also felt inspired to share her experience with others. She started talking to friends, joining writing groups, and participating in personal development forums, always emphasizing the importance of staying aligned with one's desires and emotions, believing in the power to create reality, and consciously applying the law of attraction. This exchange of experiences not only inspired others, but also reinforced her own confidence and alignment with her goals. The power of the law of attraction became increasingly evident. Jessica realized that when she was in tune with her desires and maintained a positive, confident, and grateful attitude, the universe responded in unexpected and transformative ways. Above all, she understood that the key was not just to desire something, but to feel, visualize, and believe with intensity, creating an energy that draws what one wishes into life. At the end of this phase, Jessica felt completely transformed. Tangible experiences, exciting achievements, unexpected opportunities, and the perception of control over her own reality strengthened her faith and trust in the law of attraction. She understood that true transformation is not only about achieving specific goals, but about developing a mindset and emotional state that allows one to create a fulfilling, satisfying life aligned with their deepest desires. This stage of Jessica Brown's journey marks a crucial point. She not only manifested concrete results, but also experienced deep internal change. Confidence, clarity, gratitude, and the perception of personal power became part of who she was, laying the groundwork for even greater challenges, more significant opportunities, and exciting transformations awaiting in the next phases of her journey. She knew that her life was only beginning to expand in ways she could never have imagined, and that internal alignment, consistent practice, and unwavering faith would continue to generate transformative experiences, preparing her for even greater, deeper, and more impactful manifestations.
As Jessica Brown advanced on her journey with the law of attraction, the intensity of manifestations and experiences in her life increased in remarkable ways. Whereas before tangible results had been small and gradual, now the universe seemed to conspire powerfully, bringing opportunities, coincidences, and events that felt almost magical. The faith Jessica had cultivated up to that point not only strengthened but transformed into an absolute conviction that her reality was shaped by her intentions, emotions, and thoughts. It all began with a series of surprising synchronicities. One day, while walking to a meeting, Jessica discovered a small bookstore tucked away on a street she had never noticed before. The place felt magical, and upon entering, she found several books she had been searching for months, some offered at generous discounts. Even more astonishing, she met the bookstore owner, who was deeply interested in her work and offered her a space to give a small presentation of her stories. To Jessica, this was a clear sign that the universe was opening doors in ways she could never have planned on her own. Shortly after, an even more significant opportunity arose in her literary career. An international publisher, whom she had admired and followed for years, contacted her after seeing a post Jessica had made on a blog. He proposed publishing her next book with global reach, offering full support, promotion, and resources that exceeded all of Jessica's expectations. The emotional impact was overwhelming. Tears of joy streamed down her face, and a profound sense of gratitude filled every cell of her body. She remembered every letter written, every visualization, every moment she maintained faith, and realized that the law of attraction had manifested something beyond what she could have imagined. While celebrating these external achievements, Jessica also experienced powerful internal transformations. Her self-esteem reached levels that had once seemed unattainable. She felt secure, confident, and deeply connected to her own creative energy. Challenges that had previously made her anxious were now seen as opportunities for growth and learning. Every decision, action, and thought was guided by an elevated state of consciousness, allowing her to create and receive with ease. One of the most exciting moments of this phase occurred during a trip to attend an international literary event. Jessica not only had the chance to present her work, but also met renowned authors, literary agents, and creatives from around the world. Each encounter seemed perfectly synchronized, as if the universe were guiding her steps toward experiences that would expand her vision and capabilities. She realized that being aligned with her energy and intentions attracted people and opportunities that reflected exactly her level of frequency. During this trip, Jessica also had deeply personal experiences. While walking through the historic city center, she ran into an old friend she had not seen in years. The reconnection was immediate and intense, and they shared life experiences, challenges, and lessons. The conversation brought valuable insights and reinforced the feeling that the universe not only manifested material and professional goals, but also strengthened emotional bonds and meaningful connections. Every interaction seemed part of a larger plan, coordinated by forces she was beginning to understand more intuitively.
Another important milestone during this phase was public recognition of her work. An international literary award selected her book as the highlight of the year, bringing not only visibility but also emotional validation. Jessica felt deep pride, but above all, immense gratitude. She understood that every challenge faced, every doubt overcome, and every moment of conscious law of attraction practice had culminated in that moment of complete achievement. It was living proof that her internal alignment produced extraordinary results in the external world. In the financial sphere, Jessica also experienced significant changes. The contract with the international publisher brought stability and security, allowing her to invest in new creative projects, enhance her workspace, and plan personal experiences that had previously seemed distant. Each outcome confirmed that the abundance she visualized, felt, and believed in was now concretely reflected in her reality. Beyond external achievements, Jessica realized that her positive and aligned energy was directly influencing her emotional and physical health. She felt lighter, more energized, and more centered, with a mental clarity that allowed her to make more conscious and effective decisions. Daily practices of gratitude, visualization, and clear intention had become a lifestyle, a way of being in the world that reflected her power to create and manifest. One of the most exciting moments of this phase occurred during a trip to attend an international literary event. Jessica not only had the chance to present her work, but also met renowned authors, literary agents, and creatives from around the world. Each encounter seemed perfectly synchronized, as if the universe were guiding her steps toward experiences that would expand her vision and capabilities. She realized that being aligned with her energy and intentions attracted people and opportunities that reflected exactly her level of frequency. During this trip, Jessica also had deeply personal experiences. While walking through the historic city center, she ran into an old friend she had not seen in years. The reconnection was immediate and intense, and they shared life experiences, challenges, and lessons. The conversation brought valuable insights and reinforced the feeling that the universe not only manifested material and professional goals, but also strengthened emotional bonds and meaningful connections. Every interaction seemed part of a larger plan, coordinated by forces she was beginning to understand more intuitively. Another important milestone during this phase was public recognition of her work. An international literary award selected her book as the highlight of the year, bringing not only visibility but also emotional validation. Jessica felt deep pride, but above all, immense gratitude. She understood that every challenge faced, every doubt overcome, and every moment of conscious law of attraction practice had culminated in that moment of complete achievement. It was living proof that her internal alignment produced extraordinary results in the external world. In the financial sphere, Jessica also experienced significant changes. The contract with the international publisher brought stability and security, allowing her to invest in new creative projects, enhance her workspace, and plan personal experiences that had previously seemed distant. Each outcome confirmed that the abundance she visualized, felt, and believed in was now concretely reflected in her reality. Beyond external achievements, Jessica realized that her positive and aligned energy was directly influencing her emotional and physical health. She felt lighter, more energized, and more centered, with a mental clarity that allowed her to make more conscious and effective decisions. Daily practices of gratitude, visualization, and clear intention had become a lifestyle, a way of being in the world that reflected her power to create and manifest. One of the most exciting moments of this phase occurred during a trip to attend an international literary event. Jessica not only had the chance to present her work, but also met renowned authors, literary agents, and creatives from around the world. Each encounter seemed perfectly synchronized, as if the universe were guiding her steps toward experiences that would expand her vision and capabilities. She realized that being aligned with her energy and intentions attracted people and opportunities that reflected exactly her level of frequency. During this trip, Jessica also had deeply personal experiences. While walking through the historic city center, she ran into an old friend she had not seen in years. The reconnection was immediate and intense, and they shared life experiences, challenges, and lessons. The conversation brought valuable insights and reinforced the feeling that the universe not only manifested material and professional goals, but also strengthened emotional bonds and meaningful connections. Every interaction seemed part of a larger plan, coordinated by forces she was beginning to understand more intuitively. Another important milestone during this phase was public recognition of her work. An international literary award selected her book as the highlight of the year, bringing not only visibility but also emotional validation. Jessica felt deep pride, but above all, immense gratitude. She understood that every challenge faced, every doubt overcome, and every moment of conscious law of attraction practice had culminated in that moment of complete achievement. It was living proof that her internal alignment produced extraordinary results in the external world. In the financial sphere, Jessica also experienced significant changes. The contract with the international publisher brought stability and security, allowing her to invest in new creative projects, enhance her workspace, and plan personal experiences that had previously seemed distant. Each outcome confirmed that the abundance she visualized, felt, and believed in was now concretely reflected in her reality. Beyond external achievements, Jessica realized that her positive and aligned energy was directly influencing her emotional and physical health. She felt lighter, more energized, and more centered, with a mental clarity that allowed her to make more conscious and effective decisions. Daily practices of gratitude, visualization, and clear intention had become a lifestyle, a way of being in the world that reflected her power to create and manifest. One of the most exciting moments of this phase occurred during a trip to attend an international literary event. Jessica not only had the chance to present her work, but also met renowned authors, literary agents.
Upon reaching this point in her journey, Jessica Brown realized that her life had transformed in ways she had never imagined. Everything that once seemed distant or impossible was now manifesting concretely. Professional opportunities, literary recognition, financial stability, meaningful connections, and above all, a deep sense of personal power and alignment with the universe. Every challenge faced, every daily practice, every visualization, and every act of gratitude had paved the way for this culminating phase of her transformation. Jessica looked at her daily life and realized that her life was now an expression of her deepest intentions. Her literary career flourished steadily, with projects being published internationally, collaborations with renowned authors, and invitations to events and lectures. She felt that each achievement was more than an external result. It was the manifestation of her energy, emotional clarity, and daily commitment to the law of attraction. Each success reinforced her understanding that consistent practice and unwavering faith were the pillars of creating her reality. On a personal level, Jessica experienced deeper and more meaningful relationships. Friendships that had previously been superficial or strained had transformed into strong bonds aligned with her energy and life vision. She discovered that maintaining a positive, coherent vibration not only attracted compatible people, but also strengthened her self-esteem, confidence, and capacity for emotional connection. Every encounter, conversation, and gesture of support or partnership seemed guided by the universe, offering opportunities for mutual growth and continuous inspiration. One of the most remarkable moments of this phase was the fulfillment of a dream Jessica had nurtured since adolescence, the publication of her first international book with wide distribution and impact. The project, which had once seemed distant, became reality, with the signing of a solid contract ensuring global reach and recognition from literary critics. The emotional impact was intense. Tears of joy, uncontrollable smiles, and a profound sense of gratitude filled every moment. Revisiting her original letter, Jessica realized that every word written, every clear intention, and every detailed visualization had planted the seed that was now flourishing in extraordinary ways.
Beyond literary achievements, financial and personal opportunities arose in surprising ways. An unexpected investment Jessica had envisioned months earlier came to fruition, providing stability and freedom to invest in new creative projects and life experiences. Small events, such as finding rare books or making valuable contacts in unexpected places, continued to occur, reinforcing her perception of synchronicity and harmony between her intentions and their manifestation in the physical world. However, the greatest impact of this phase was not in tangible results alone, but in the internal transformation Jessica experienced. She felt complete confidence in her ability to create her own reality, clarity about her desires and intentions, and deep peace regarding the future. Every challenge that might once have generated anxiety or doubt now became an opportunity for learning, expansion, and positive manifestation. The sense of personal power she experienced was, for her, the true reward of consistent law of attraction practice. One sunny morning, while reviewing her goals and achievements, Jessica noticed something extraordinary. The universe seemed to respond not only to her explicit intentions, but also to her inner energy and emotional state. She recalled moments when she had visualized complex or unlikely situations, and to her surprise, they had materialized in ways that exceeded her expectations. This realization brought an even deeper confidence, consolidating the understanding that the power of manifestation is directly related to the coherence between thoughts, emotions, and actions. During this phase, Jessica also began reflecting on the impact her journey could have on others. She realized that her story, experiences, and manifested results could inspire others to believe in their own power and apply the law of attraction in their lives. Her sense of purpose and emotional responsibility grew, motivating her to share her story with authenticity, detail, and emotion. Every testimony she received from people impacted by her work reinforced the importance of maintaining a high vibration and conscious practice. A particularly moving moment occurred when Jessica received a message from a young reader saying that her book had changed her life, helping her believe in herself and manifest opportunities that had once seemed impossible. The emotion overwhelmed Jessica, tears streamed down her face, and a sense of gratitude and fulfillment filled every cell of her body. She realized that the manifestation of her desires not only transformed her own life, but also positively reverberated in the lives of others, creating a multiplying effect of positive energy and transformation. Reflecting on her entire journey, Jessica recognized the importance of each stage, from the initial letter she wrote to herself, through weeks of consistent practice, unexpected challenges, small manifestations, and major achievements. Each step was essential in building the confidence, faith, and ability to align fully with her intentions. She understood that the law of attraction is not just a method to achieve goals, but a philosophy of life that transforms thoughts, emotions, and actions into concrete, lasting manifestations. Beyond material and professional accomplishments, Jessica also experienced a profound expansion of consciousness. She felt more aware of her choices, more connected to her intuition, and capable of interpreting signs from the universe with clarity. Small coincidences became confirmations. Every daily event was seen as an opportunity for alignment, and her perception of reality expanded significantly. This mental and emotional expansion was for her the greatest gift of her journey, the understanding that the power to create resides within every person, waiting to be accessed through faith, practice, and conscious intention. While celebrating all these achievements, Jessica continued her daily practice of gratitude, visualization, and emotional alignment. Each morning and evening became sacred moments to reconnect with her intentions, reinforce her energy, and feel as if she were already living the desired reality. This emotional discipline was the engine that sustained all manifestations and allowed every opportunity to materialize with precision and ease. The climax of this story also included moments of deep reflection. Jessica realized that true transformation was not only in external achievements, but in the shift in perception about herself and life. She felt empowered, capable of handling any challenge, and confident in her ability to create positive experiences regardless of external circumstances. The sense of control and emotional freedom became a constant reality, shaping every decision, action, and relationship in her life. By the end of this phase, Jessica Brown had become a living example of conscious manifestation and personal transformation. Her journey demonstrated that with discipline, focus, clear intention, and emotional connection, it is possible not only to achieve seemingly impossible goals, but also to transform one's perception of life, expand consciousness, and positively impact others. Every letter written, every detailed visualization, every moment of gratitude had built an extraordinary and inspiring reality. At this point, Jessica wanted to share her experience with everyone following her journey, encouraging each person to reflect on their own creative power. She invited viewers and readers to ask themselves, what do you truly want to create in your life? Which intentions can you align with your emotions to manifest your dreams? What signs from the universe have you already noticed, and how can you interpret them to align even more with your desired reality? Her final message was simple yet powerful. She encouraged everyone to share in the comments their experiences with the law of attraction, to tell their stories of small or large manifestations, to inspire each other and reflect on the impact their thoughts and emotions have on their own reality. She reminded them that consistent practice, gratitude, and faith are tools available to everyone, and that each person has the power to create a full, abundant, and extraordinary life, just as she had done. Looking back, Jessica Brown recognized that her journey had begun with a simple letter to herself, a clear and sincere intention to transform her life. That letter was the catalyst that triggered a sequence of events, manifestations, and transformations, culminating in a life that fully reflected her deepest dreams and desires. Every challenge, doubt, small victory, and major achievement contributed to building the powerful, conscious, and accomplished woman she became. And so, Jessica Brown's story ends not only with the fulfillment of dreams, but with the understanding that true transformative power lies within each individual. The law of attraction is not just a manifestation tool, but a path of self-discovery, expanded consciousness, and deliberate creation of extraordinary experiences. Every reader, viewer, or follower who absorbs this message is invited to write their own letter, visualize their desired life, and act with faith, discipline, and gratitude, thus creating their own story of transformation and success.